The Human Population Project. So we have the demographic transition model here, and in stage one, the countries have a high birth rate and a high death rate and a low population. As it enters stage two, the death rate begins to decline while the birth rate is still high, and so the population starts to increase rapidly. In stage three, this process increases, but the birth rate also decreases. In stage four, the population is high, while the birth rate and the death rate are declining. And then in stage five, the birth rate and death rate are relatively stable, and the population is at a stable point.
What country's capital has the fastest growing population? Ireland. Every day it's Dublin. What is the population of Brazil? I'd say about a Brazilian people or so. Boodoo.
Okay, so our stage one tribe is the Kayapo tribe in Brazil. So the Kayapo tribe is a stage one tribe because it has characteristics such as pre-industrialization. It has a high birth and death rate, and it has a lack of education and contraceptives for women. The tribe consists of about 8,000 people who live in the Amazons and are isolated from modern civilization. They're their own primary resource for food, tools, and other necessities to survive. As a result, there are little to no statistics on the tribe. So later in the presentation, they will not be included in the slides.
For our stage two country is the Democratic Republic of Congo. Some characteristics of stage two include a rapid decrease in country's death rate while the birth rate remains high. And the Democratic Republic of Congo has an extremely high birth rate and total fertility rate. And also due to poor technology and healthcare, there's low life expectancy, making them stage two.
India is our stage three country. The stage three characteristics include rapidly decreasing birth rates and steady decrease in death rates, a slow population growth over time, and the population will continue to grow at a steady pace until the fertility rate hits 2.1 births per woman.
Canada is a stage four country, and the characteristics include a high population but a decreasing population growth rate and very low death rates. Canada also has a strong economy, high levels of education, and better healthcare. These are all signs of a stage four country.
Okay, so for the population sizes for our three countries, as you can see, the Democratic Republic of Congo has 84 million, India 1.3 billion, and Canada with 37 million. So population size is not a good characteristic to look at when determining what stage a country is in because it is too general and does not have much effect on the country than other characteristics. Birth rate is one of the most important indicators when determining what stage a country or civilization is in. Earlier stages would have a higher birth rate than more developed countries, and then it will stabilize and then decrease in later stages. Death rate coincides with birth rate when determining the development of a country. Less developed countries have a high death rate, which causes the population to remain the same. However, causes such as war or a pandemic could majorly affect these countries. As you move up the transition model to the higher stages, the birth rate and death rate begins to increase, and which raises the natural increase rate and then starts to decrease at stage three, where economic conditions begin to improve. At stage four, birth and death rates are both low, stabilizing the population. Migration is not a good factor to determine the stage of development of countries. However, the more migration there is to a country, the more likely they are developed.
As for infant mortality, based off the demographic transition model, normally when the death rate is high, the infant mortality rate is normally really high as well, which is why, for example, the DRC has a much higher IMR compared to Canada because they're in a lower stage of the demographic transition model. As for total fertility rate, Countries in earlier stages have larger families because they're not as technologically advanced and they need a larger labor force to like work the farms. For example, the DRC again has a higher total fertility rate compared to India and Canada because they're not as industrialized as a society compared to Canada that is much more technologically advanced and they have smaller families. As for contraceptive rates, normally higher fertility rates are an effect from low contraceptive rates. And that's why, for example, in Canada, there's a much more higher contraceptive rate, and that kind of coincides with the lower fertility rates. As for healthcare, less technologically advanced or industrialized countries leads to less healthcare. And that's why the DRC has, in addition to lots of war and conflict and overall their society and just governing system is not as developed as Canada. They therefore don't have as much access to healthcare, while India, you would say, could fall more in the middle, and then Canada has the most access to healthcare.
The literacy rate of the DRC is 77.04%, while for Canada it is 99%. And the years of schooling range from 10 to 9 for the Congo, and for Canada it is from 16 to 17. So as you can see, as stages progress, the literacy rate and the years of schooling also increase. At the age of marriage, for stage 2 countries, they're relatively low, while for stage 4 countries, they're much higher. And you can see this is 15 for women and 18 for men in the Congo. And for Canada, it is 29.5 for males and 26.9 for females. The mean age at the first reproduction also follows this trend, as for stage 2 countries, it is very low at 19.9 years for the DRC. And for Canada, it is at 28.1 years. The age structure diagram reflects their stage in the demographic transition model. For the Congo, they have a high population percentage of lower aged people, while for India, it is more well-rounded, and for Canada, it is focused on the higher age populations.
GDP for DRC has been increasing since 2010, but there is still instability and inflation and because of corruption in their economy and politics. India has been declining in GDP over time for the past few years, but it has experienced a sharp decrease around June 2020 due to COVID-related reasons. And Canada has had a stable GDP for quite a while now. As you can see, the countries in the earlier stages have more fluctuating GDPs because they have less infrastructure to maintain their economies, and countries in higher stages will have more stable GDPs because they have more regulation within the economy. As for child labor, the DRC and India have child labor is looked down upon in all three countries, but DRC and India still have loosely regulated child labor laws just because they still have loosely regulated economies with corruption in their system. And Canada and other stage 4 countries usually ban child labor. Parameters for the stages, DRC has extremely high birth rates, low life expectancy rates, high infant and maternal mortality rates, constant war environments. India has falling birth and death rates and is projected to have a low growth rate within the next couple of decades, indicating its transition into stage 4. And the population is high in Canada, but the growth rate is relatively low and is about to transition into stage 5. The overall quality of life for all three countries, it fluctuates depending on their stages because, as you can see in the first 2 stages, the overall quality of life is lower than when compared to stage 4 and stage 5 countries.
The Kayapo tribe would need to become industrialized, have a decreased death rate, and be introduced to modernized medicine. For a stage 1 civilization to transition to a stage 2, the birth and death rates must diverge in order for the natural increase rate to be higher.
As for the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC would need to improve their technology in order to move to the stage 3 in the transition model, because the country would therefore be more industrialized and have a better functioning economy. By improving the technology, the large family numbers would decrease and the life expectancy would increase and make the DRC a stage 3 country. However, the constant war that occurs in the DRC would also need to be eliminated for the country to make any progress whatsoever.
India's birth rate is at a rapid decline and its death rate is falling as well, but at a steadier pace. The total fertility rate would have to drop below 2.1 for it to transition into the next phase. As the birth rates and death rates continue to fall, the population projections suggest that it will move on to stage 4 within the next couple of decades.
Canada has a low birth rate, and to reach stage 5, it would have to drop below the death rate to have a negative population growth rate. The country is already industrialized and has a high population with advanced technology. This means it is ready for its transition to stage 5.
So, because the tribe is still very much isolated from modern civilization, they will most likely be in stage 1 for a while until they integrate with modern technology and medicine in their society. However, this will most likely not happen soon due to the battle between them and the Brazilian government over their land in the Amazon rainforest.
As for the Democratic Republic of Congo, because of the constant war zone and poor governing and economy, the DRC will most likely stay in stage 2 of the demographic transition model for quite some time until effective leadership can improve the way of life in this country. Overall, the constant war zone severely limits any progress that the DRC can make.
The declining growth rates will lead India into stage 4, where the overall population will be large, but the birth and death rates will remain low. India is currently experiencing the later half of stage 3 and is projected to hit stage 4 within the next couple of decades as technology, health, economy, and the overall standard of living improves.
The high immigration rate but low birth rate will most likely have Canada stay in stage 4 for a while. However, it is ready for entry to stage 5 and to have a declining/constant population. This is our bibliography. And that's the end of our presentation.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.